Much for coming today, and today I'll speak on the topic of how to respond to adversities resourcefully and not resentfully. So let's begin with some prayers. Om
Tasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidinamine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I'll speak based on the Bhagavad Gita 1835, which talks about how our mind gets caught in negative thinking. Ya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madameva cha na vimunchati durmedha dhriti sa partha tamasi. So Krishna says, ya swapnam. Here, swapnam refers to daydreaming. Some people just constantly don't do anything. They substitute dreaming for working. Ya swapnam bhayam. And some other people substitute working with dreading. This may go wrong, that may go wrong. So dreaming and dreading both are associated with the future. Ya swapnam bhayam. Shokam. Shokam is lamentation. And then vishadam. Vishadam is moroseness. So lamenting is about the past. Oh, this went wrong in my life, that went wrong in my life. And moroseness is for the present. Nothing ever works right in my life. Destiny is against me. Some people say that there is some jinx in my life. So, Vishadam madame vacha. And then, unable to bear all this, madam. People escape into intoxication. So, navimunchati durmedha. Now we all experience this. Sometimes we also dream and fantasize. Sometimes we dread about what may happen in the future. But Krishna is saying, these are habitual human reactions to life's difficulties. But na vimunchati durmedha. When one doesn't stop doing this, one keeps doing it constantly. One doesn't let go of it. That is durmedha. That is misdirected intelligence. Buddhi sapartha tamasi. That is intelligence which has been overpowered by ignorance. So normally we think of intelligence and ignorance as, there is determination, dhruti. Dhruti sapartha tamasi. So determination in ignorance. What it means is that when normally determination is considered to be a virtue. If somebody has strong determination, they can overcome a lot of the obstacles and move on. So generally when we have the idea of determination, what it means is that there are many forces which might push us to let go of something. But in spite of that, we hold on to it. That's determination. Now the same principle can be applied in a negative sense, where we often call it as obstinacy. Where even after seeing 100 reasons to understand how something is inadvisable, it is ill-conceived, but still we'll keep holding on to it. There can be physically holding on to things, and there can be psychologically holding on to things. So when one keeps holding on to unproductive or counterproductive thought patterns, that Krishna says is misdirected determination. Determination in the mode of ignorance. And so resentment, vishadam madam. Shokam vishadam. That is typical of resentment. So, why did this happen? Why is this happening like this? Now we all move forward in life with some expectations. As living beings, to be conscious is to be desirous. We have certain desires, certain dreams, certain ambitions. That's just natural. And then based on that, we have certain expectations of how things will work out. And when they don't work out that way, it certainly disorients us. So the emotion itself is not the problem. It is the persistence of the emotion. It is the inability to let that emotion go. That is what Krishna is saying is the problem here. So how do we deal with this? Krishna is talking all this about the mind. And earlier in the 7th chapter, he has talked about austerity of the mind. Austerity, generally when we talk about it, it means that something which we don't like to do, but we do it because we know it is good for us. Say we might fast, either for health or for some sacred holy days. So that is an austerity of the body. So the first austerity of the body, of the mind that Krishna says is in 17:16. Manha prasada saumyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirtyetat tapo manasam uchyate. So the manha prasada, it means cheerfulness, satisfaction, happiness. So it's interesting, Krishna is saying cheerfulness is an austerity of the mind. That means we can choose to be cheerful, or we can cultivate cheerfulness. So life will create resentment within us. But he says we should learn to cultivate cheerfulness, cultivate happiness. Now how do we do that? One way to do it is, generally when we see that what all things are not going the way we want them to, what all things going wrong in our life, that's what causes agitation. That's what causes resentment, negativity. So the opposite of these negative emotions, resentment or moroseness, the opposite of that would be gratitude. So the way, now when we talk about gratitude, what does it mean? Gratitude generally comes by looking at what we have or what is right in our lives. So I'll talk about an acronym, which are 3 strategies. Whenever we feel resentful, whenever something has gone wrong in our lives, it may be, we might be going through some phase of disease, we might be having some upheavals in our professional life, in our relationships, whatever it is we're going through, how can we have a cheerful attitude based on gratitude? Now, there are certain emotions which will come upon us naturally. And in the inner world, we cannot drive out any thoughts or emotions. If something is there inside, we can't tell it, go away. It's a simple psychological experiment. If someone tells you that for the next 30 seconds, don't think of a pink monkey. You can think of whatever you want, just don't think of a pink monkey. What happens? We may never have thought of pink monkey, but we think about it at that time. So, in the mental world, no doesn't work so easily. But we can say yes to something. Now, unwanted thoughts cannot be driven out, but they can be crowded out. They cannot be driven out, get out, get out, get out, get out. But if you bring something else inside, they get crowded out. So what do we bring inside? That's what we bring inside, that is what will help us to get rid of negative thoughts, of resentment, for example. In the Bhagavatam, there is the example of a great king, Parikshit. Now, Parikshit was a very powerful and virtuous king. Generally, these two don't go together very often. Where there is power, soon it is power corrupts. Even if people start off with good intentions, sooner or later the power makes them corrupted. So on the other hand, there's many people in the world have virtue, But if they don't have power, the virtue doesn't do much good to people. But he had this combination. He was powerful and virtuous. And yet, for a minor mistake, he was cursed to die in 7 days. Now, actually, in some ways, being cursed to die in 7 days is worse than being cursed to die immediately. Because you're cursed to die immediately, at one level, okay, it's the painless death. So, but if you in this much time you're going to die, then death is approaching, and there is an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Now, of course, if we have that notice, we can use it to bring about some closure, positively. And that's what he does. But how does he do that? We talk about this broadly. So I'll talk about an acronym. See, whenever something goes wrong in our life, how do we cultivate gratitude at that time? So I'll talk about the acronym ACE. A-C-E. So ace your life with gratitude. A is, whenever anything bad happens, look for the good around the bad. Generally, when bad things happen, our mind just fixates on it. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? And that can blind us to everything else. So, okay, this bad thing has happened. Look for the good around the bad. Good around the bad means, okay, this is, what are the other things still right in my life? And for all of us, there are many things which are right in our life. In fact, if we are just alive, there is more right than wrong in our life. Probably the average age in this room might be around 30, 35, 40, whatever. No, there are many millions of people who die before they attain our age. So just to be alive actually is a miracle. So many things can go wrong at any moment. So just the fact that we have life is itself a gift. And then all of us, we can think of the many other gifts that we have in our life. We often say count your blessings. But actually it's not just count your blessings, it's also make your blessings count. What does that mean? It is only when we regularly count our blessings, then we can make our blessing counts when we need them. Our mind is a creature of habit. And if we don't think about some things, we stop even noticing those things. So whatever we focus on, that stays at prominence in our consciousness. Whatever is not focused on, it goes in the background, it goes away. So if we do not regularly cultivate gratitude, that means we don't regularly count our blessings, then when things have gone wrong, we will just not be able to think about those things. Because our consciousness has become, our mind has become habituated to thinking of only certain things. So if it can be money, it can be our position, it can be our prestige in society. Some people it might just be sports. I was in Canada, I met a person from Sri Lanka, and he said that, he was telling me how he became serious about spiritual life. That he was a very avid cricket fan. And then between 2000 to 2015, roughly, Sri Lanka came in 3 World Cup finals. 2011 and then some T20 and something else. And in all of them, in the final it lost. You are from Sri Lanka? So this boy said he was a cricket fan, and another fan, his close friend was also a cricket fan. And he said one day he just got a phone call from that friend's family, and they said that his friend had committed suicide. He was so dejected, so devastated. Once, twice, thrice he lost the matches. Now none of these cricketers committed suicide. So what happened is that if our mind becomes fixated on something, then we experience all our emotions in relationship with that itself. And yes, yeah, you can enjoy sports and sometimes feel bad if a favorite team loses. But it's a game. You don't have to get so fixated on it. So what happens is we need to regularly count our blessings. That means maybe when we have some time, write down what are the things that we are thankful for. And every day, maybe look at them. Now, if we do our prayers, quite often what happens is when we pray, at that time, if we just sit down and start praying, our thoughts are caught in, oh, I have to do this, and why is this not working out, and why is this happening like this? So then, even if you pray, it's not very easy to connect with God also. But if we have written down what are the things that are right in our life, and then look at them, read them once, and what happens? And then we can turn and pray. So if we make it a regular habit of looking at the things that are right in our life, then what will happen? Gratitude is not just an emotion that we sometimes feel. Gratitude is also a habit that we cultivate. So when we make it a habit to consciously be grateful, then when difficulty comes at that time, we can also make our blessings count. By make our blessings count means that when some negativity has happened in our life, when some adversity has come, and that is consuming, dominating our consciousness, at that time, to think about what is right in our life and to dwell on it, it will be possible when we have made a habit of being grateful. So, if we count our blessings, then we can make our blessings count. Count means in normal times, we remember our blessings, then those blessings will find a place in our consciousness, and then they can come in our consciousness and drive out the negativity. So, it's talking about this King Parikshit. Now he is cursed to die, and when he is cursed to die, what are his thoughts? That is the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, the chapters 18 and 19 describe his thoughts as he comes to know that I have been cursed. And his first thought is that, okay, I did a mistake, and if that mistake, I get this result, that account gets cleared. So instead of having some consequence coming to me later, this consequence has come to me now, and this account will get cleared. So generally, when somebody does something bad, say a couple of years ago I had gone to Sin City. See the Sin City? Las Vegas. Now it's interesting, in Las Vegas, Las Vegas has, among all the cities in the world, as far as the residents of the city are concerned, the citizens of Las Vegas have the lowest percentage of gambling in all of America. People from everywhere come and gamble over there, but they don't gamble because they see every day what happens because of gambling. So suppose somebody goes and gambles, and then if they gamble, what is the worst thing that can happen to them?
You can go into debt.
Sorry?
You can go into debt.
No, that's true, it's bad.
Lose happiness.
Lose happiness.
They get addicted.
Yes, the worst thing that can happen is they win. Because if they lose, that's terrible, but hey, I shouldn't do this again. Say, hey, this is terrible, I don't want to get involved in this. But once you win, what happens is you get a taste for it, you get hooked to it. And then initially, nobody with any reasonable good sense is going to stake a huge amount of money in the first gamble. So it's only when you win that you feel, hey, maybe I can get more. You put more, and you put more, and you put more. And then when they lose, it will be devastating. So the point I'm making here is that sometimes getting the consequences of our actions it can seem like misfortune, but it can save us from a bigger misfortune. So, what Parikshit says over there is, okay, I did this mistake. He had offended a great sage, and he was cursed because of that. He says, it's over. And he says that it's good that this reaction came upon me, and this account gets cleared. So generally, for every action, there will be a consequence for that. So when we look for the good around the bad, what happens by that is that thereby it helps us to at least avoid being completely dominated by negativity. The problem is still there. We may have to live with pain, but we don't have to live in pain. With pain means, if we consider this to be our consciousness, pain is a component in our consciousness. Live in pain means the pain becomes the container of our consciousness. We can't think of anything else at all. So when we learn to look for the good around the bad, okay, this is there, it's a problem, but there are so many things right in my life also. Then that negativity doesn't consume us.